Buongiorno. Is anybody there speaking my language? I'm Italian. Okay, great. Happy to be here. Let me check the time so that I'm keep on time. Well, I don't have any knowledge about agriculture, so no, I have some knowledge about agriculture, but not comparable with the one of the people that just spoken. So the project that I'm going to presenting now is something which somehow say the same things using another language. And it is the language of design, because actually I'm a designer and I'm here presenting a project which is the combination of three main actors, let's say. One is Slow Food. I think that Slow Food is very well known. So it's an Italian organization which is now international, and I think it's very well known from all of you. Really, is it? Yeah. And then it's us, Politecnico di Milano. Politecnico di Milano is an old Italian university, and it's not about agrarian sciences, but it is about engineering, architecture, and design. And then there is a University of Gastronomic Science, which is a small university founded by, let's say, by Slow Food almost some years ago. Well, it's more than a story. This is a chronicle, I used to say. It's a chronicle of a project that is called Feeding Milano, Energies for Change. Nutrire Milano, Energie per il Cambiamento is the Italian title. And it's a project that has burned in our, let's say, intentions and mind no longer than 2.5 years ago. You might know that we are facing in 2015 in Milan the International Expo. Do you know this? Don't worry, if you don't know, it's not a big problem. Anyway, we're going to host this event, which is actually, which will be the title of the event, will be Feeding the Planet, Energy for Life. And it will be an international event as the one we have had in Shanghai, for instance, a couple of years ago, that will be about sustainable food and sustainable nutrition. Well, it could be a fantastic story, but as we know very well, Expo are the opportunity, most of all, for building up something new, and at least in Italy. And so once we won the competition for the Expo, you might know that it is a competition. There is a competition among different cities. We said, at least we and our group of work and the Slow Food, we said, okay, guys, we have to start up something which is a kind of civil action, and that probably in 2015 could create a real expo beside the one that the politicians will set up somehow. And so this is the premise. I must say that you might ask yourself what has to do design with this. I think this is not a design audience, so I won't bother you about speaking about what is design today, but actually we are not anyhow designing stuff. We are not designing products, but instead we are designing services and strategies. That's why we are dealing also with these kind of things. And I hope that by the end of my presentation, it will be clearer why a group of designers can work with Slow Food and 100 farmers in a park. This is an image of something which is happening after 1.5 years of this project, after the beginning of this project that I'm going to tell you about. And I think it's a very good image that somehow represents and summarizes what is happening. What is that? I think that everybody knows that Italian food is a kind of, Italian food. There is nothing to say. But beside, but beside the quality of food itself, Italian food is most of all an idea of conviviality. And so it's speaking about food. It's the culture of food. It's the pleasure of spending time eating food and preparing food and taking care of food. And so this is a kind of principle is in the DNA of our culture. And so when we decided to start this project, we had the vision of working around this project, around this concept of conviviality. And conviviality is a kind of pleasurable collaboration around food. It's a kind of relationship of trust and sympathy that is largely due to the presence of good food on the table. And we said, okay, why don't we try to use this principle to imagine a future for the city of Milan? So to say, what if Milan could rebuild the way how the city feeds itself, taking the food and then produce from the areas nearby, and so somehow creating a direct link between producer and consumer in the name of conviviality. You might know, I also have a map, I'm happy for this. You might know that Milan is a small village because we only have 1,070,000 inhabitants. So it's a small village, definitely. But in the north of the town, it's really a sprawl. It's a continuous, urbanization. While in the south, we have a quite huge agricultural park that has been established, I think 25 years ago or something like that. Maybe Sonia, you know it better than me. Which is actually, as Sonia mentioned, an agricultural park, and more or less in the same terms of the one of Barcelona, so I won't spend time in this. It's 47,000 hectares. I made a quick calculation with your parameters, and we could almost feed the city with those hectares, right? So it's not a park as the one you can figure out with the fences and you get in and you get out. No, it's just a big land which is somehow preserved, let's say preserved for agriculture. This is almost the situation. Now it's a flat land. Milano is a very flat town. We live in a very flat part of Italy. And this area is mainly used for industrial agriculture. So you have mainly big cultivations of the same kind, and they are mainly rice, mainly, oh my God, what's the English name for maize? Corn. So, that kind of stuff. So you can more or less see the situation. But beside this kind of agriculture, we also have a number of initiatives already in place of farmers who decided to change and to start doing something new because of many, many reasons. One of that, of course, is revenue. Because at least in Europe, and I think that here the situation is almost the same, to sell a big production of produce to wholesaler means having very few money in return. And so they are somehow running at the the level of minimum just to cover the cost needed to produce the food. And so the way how to gain more money and so to make the business more sustainable and so to preserve the land, because if farmers remain in the land is preserved from urbanization, was to find new ways of selling this produce. Is to find new ways of selling this produce. Of course, this produce must be produced with a kind of added value, which now is not the case when you have just industrial production. So we have a land where we have very different, we have around 900 farms. Farms mean big and very, very small farms, like 2 hectares, so really nothing, micro farms, and big farms. So 900 farms with very, very different sizes. We also have beautiful buildings. We have also a number of heroic, I can say, farmers who are making a very good job of restoration. The land is beautiful. I must say that this is a land that has been dried during the Middle Age. So there are, as you can see, there are many channels. And these channels are the result of the work of the religious orders since the Middle Age. So during the Middle Age, the religious orders started to drain this land, and this was the beginning of the prosperity of the land itself. So it's a beautiful land with a beautiful abbey, for instance, like this one, with very old farmhouses. Many of them are really from the 15th century, 16th century, so also kind of heritage that must be preserved. There are all these beautiful channels, as you can see, that makes also the prosperity of the land in terms of agriculture, because the water is a lot and it is well, managed. As you can see, different kind of agriculture again, many kind of different people, younger, older, Italian immigrants, so it's a very interesting, let's say, cultural mix. Wildlife, and not only wildlife, but a lot of breeding of animals, so there is a dairy farm quite important, quite huge. All villages, all these are pictures that we have taken, so it's a kind of, reportage of the land. But also highways, because it's definitely the periphery of the town. So it's not only beauty, but it's also highways running in these fields. So quite huge and complicated situation. And again, but in between this chaos, in between this complexity, we also have a really promising initiative, like, for instance, the one of this farmhouse, which is really implementing, it's a small farmhouse. This is a case of no bigger than 3 hectares of land, so quite few. And in order to be active, to survive, and to have a wealthy business, the owner of this farmhouse decided to implement really the concept of multifunctionality. So he put in place a nice agritourism. He has this kind of cultivation which is also organic, and they serve the purchasing groups, so a kind of community-supported agriculture scheme that I think you know it well. They host people visiting the farm, and they have a didactic farm. So he differentiated the business, so to have a wealthy overall system. Well, so this is, let's say, the background. We have more than one of this kind of situation, but anyway, few compared to the majority of the farmers. And so a couple of years ago, facing the situation of Expo, we said, okay, guys, we have to find the way to promote a kind of bottom-up idea, vision, scenario for this land that could really, in 5 years, transform this land into a living model of food shed, of a kind of sustainable food shed, beside what the Expo will actually do in 2015, and maybe not just beside, but against. So we started this project, we start to build a vision, and we start to go around looking for fundings, for someone interested in founding our project, and actually we find it in a big bank foundation and in a number of other institutional players. So what was the vision, let's say, behind this project? It's a vision of creating a network of 0 miles food services which can connect the city with the peri-urban countryside, creating economic links and social links. So the idea was, okay, we have already in Milan a number of good initiatives, or let's say promising initiatives, promising in terms of capacity of the farmers to do something different, new and better, and interest of the people to get in touch directly for the farmers, to preserve good food, to have good food, to preserve the agriculture around. So how can we strengthen this network of services and of promising cases and initiatives that we already have in place? And not only this, but how can we add more initiative? How can we create the conditions for more initiatives to start and to take place?